Hello, Melanie.
Hello, Kimia.
How are you?
I'm great, thank you. How are you?
I'm good too, thank you. I'm really excited for our conversation today.
Me
Well,
too.
thanks. Well, first, congrats on graduating recently from your PhD in molecular biology, and also for being one of the CBC Manitoba's Future 40.
Thank you.
How does that feel?
Um, this year's been a whirlwind, so I don't think it's quite as kind of set in, but I'm sitting here going, how did I get that award? I'm just doing what I do every day, right? So, and what I enjoy doing.
I want to talk about your journey in science. I've seen that you have, correct me if I'm wrong, but two bachelor's in science, one master's in science in biological sciences, and now a PhD. But I understand your journey hasn't been easy, not an easy path at all.
No, not at all.
Do you like to share about that?
Sure. Um, so I started university a few years out of high school. And when I started 4 months pregnant. And I had my son during reading week of my first year of university. And that first year did not go well at all. um, but I just kept going and kept retaking what I needed to retake, and finally got through and used my son as, my motivation to keep going, and just taking every opportunity that I had and taking every course that I could.
Oh yeah, sure. That is so inspiring to so many of us. I want to talk about one of your, I call it beautiful accomplishments because I feel like it brings the beauty back to science. Uh, that in 2018, you and Dr. Jeffrey Marcus identified a new butterfly species in North America. And the one before that was in 2016, and like a decade radio silent in California. So like it was 2 years, nothing, and then you two showed up. How did that feel? How was the experience?
It was amazing. Um, I actually had to, like, when you're looking at species in general, you're looking at what people have named them. And species don't care what you name them. And
Sure.
so there had been debate on what it should be named. And then we were able to actually grow them in the lab. And then I compared them to all of the other ones that had been grown in the lab, and they were actually completely different. And they actually looked different.
No, I feel like that's like such a beautiful moment in someone's journey in science. You're also a colleague, which I'm honored to be. You're our Wawatay program development specialist here, and you're also a Métis woman. Um, I wonder what barriers, what struggles um, you had to go through and how you overcame them.
Oh, okay. So being a mom,
Yeah.
class, trying to find balance. Um, and I didn't really have that as an undergraduate. And that's why I was kind of like pulled to the Wawatay program, is to use my experience and try to have other students, Indigenous students going through university that aren't struggling. And I mean, I don't limit myself to Indigenous students because any student that asks, I will give them some pointers and tips on what they can do. But being part of the program, I think is just so beautiful. It's a beautiful program that's, going to help so many students that have different unique paths through university succeed.
You're doing amazing work and you're doing such an important work, and I'm sure a lot of students appreciate that. You talked about using like the presence of your son as inspiration. Um, do you like to talk a bit more about that, where you got your strength and your inspiration from throughout all these years?
I guess my son, showing him that anything is possible, no matter what life throws at you. Because I never thought that I would actually I never thought about grad school. I never thought about, even having a PhD. I never thought about any of those things. I didn't even think this time last year I would be, sitting here as part of the Wawatay program. Um, so everything just, um, I used my son, and every single negative experience, I think, to drive me. So I didn't let those negative experiences bring me down. I used it to fuel me to keep going.
Absolutely. I think that's what shapes a lot of us, how we deal with barriers or struggles or any negative experience we have is what sets us apart. I wonder, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could go back, or not even necessarily advice, just like what would you tell her?
Well, the one thing I didn't know a lot about at that time were the resources on campus. Um, and I'm talking about like my journey through school. So like the resources, I didn't know about awards and bursaries until I was in grad school. And so, you know, the financial struggle was a big thing through university. And, then you have student loans and then you have all this, you just get into a big mess. And so just I would tell her to just relax. Here's some of the resources, use some of these resources. Um, I mean, there was a lot of struggles in undergrad. Like there was a lot of struggles. Um, and not just financial, but there are other things that went on. Like you have a lot of personal things that go on. You have things with instructors. You have, just life happens, and you just kind of roll with it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much, Melanie. Thank you so much for talking with me today and sharing your story.
But thank you, Kimia.